bold faith. You don't want to miss a journey to recover hope, life. Your story begins here. Join Pastor Jeremy D. Seward and True Holiness Deliverance Temple for our Sunday morning celebration.
Will not go. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. For the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. I'm drawing my thought from the 10th verse, and that last part after that semicolon in your Bible, it says, and Deborah went up with him. I'm using for a subject, and I want you to tell your neighbor, because we're going to have some involvement tonight. I want you to tell them like you really meeting, and it's a command. It's time to step up. It's time to step up. The thing for this woman of the gospel was one that was interesting to me. It was a good, very good thing. It's women of faith who have paved the way. I began to really research that theme and really look at the history of women in faith, and I was a little disheartened because if you have ever researched it, and I have never taken the time out to look into this and really into this service, there's not a lot about women of faith that have paved the way. We as a body of Christ have somewhat fallen into the clutches of the secular movement, of the secular world, I myself included. When you really view the status of a woman and what makes a woman and what gives her that little oomph, you must say our influence is from that of the secular view. What gives that woman her beauty, her prestige? What gives that woman her educational status? We look at these women and we have icons and that we create, and subconsciously we really mold ourselves to them. When you think of women, you think of Oprah Winfrey that have made a way and how she has gotten all her fame and her fortunes. And when you think of women, you begin to think of Michelle Obama, and she's a great woman. And you look at her and you say, she's modest and she got it going on. And those of us that are not married, we look at her and say, she got a husband that we want that because he shows our affection to her. We look at her and we see her kids because you never see her kids in the tabloids. When we look at her, we never see that part of her where does she have to get up at 1 in the morning and go chase down one of those girls? Has she ever gotten out of her bed and had rollers in her hair to find one of her daughters? That's not what we see. We see the perfect image of what the media displays to us. When we think of women, we see women such as, and I have to say it, we look at Beyonce, we see her shape, we see her figure, we want the trainer that she has. And so now we looking at women that we really can't even relate to. Who's in here really gonna have a Harvard degree? Who's in here really going to have Oprah money? I know what you're saying. The Lord I serve will make a way. Yes, that's true. But I want to come and tell the people of this house, there's never been before you, and there'll never be after you another you. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You've got to remember that right there. Have you ever sat down and really thought about the woman that you are? There'll never be another Shamika Dotson. I don't care where you go in this world, what continent you ever cross through. There'll never be another you. So I'm reminded now that when I began to really do research and I looked at this thing, and the reason I was disheartened was because women of faith. I began to Google faith, and I began to look at so many articles, and it was so backdated. They even went far as Sojourner Truth, and you might not even know who Jarena Lee is. And in between that, there's a gap. There's a gap. And that's where I got my topic from. We have got to step up. As women of God, as people of God, there's a gap that needs to be filled. There's some history to be made. And we must say that we're living in a world now that it seems like being godly does not get you any recognition but persecution. We're living in a time now that if you're going to name the name of the Lord, that causes some discommunication on your part. If you name the name of the Lord, it's causing you to have some lonely lunch breaks. It's causing you to be all by yourself. But I come to let you know God is calling each and every one to be the you that he's calling you to be. And in that now, we have now in the text, you got to understand the time. Don't rush me. You got to understand the time now that's going on with this text now. We are at a time that Israel is under cruel oppression by Jabin, king of Canaan. And it's been going on now for 20 years. But there was a cry, and I couldn't get past cry because God was beginning to deal with me with the word cry. And I'm like, God, what do you mean? He began to let me know that though you see the tears, that's not the cry. And he began to tell me now that cry that you being to see the tears fall is only connected to the emotional part of them. You cry when you're mad. You cry when you're angry. You cry when you feel overwhelmed. You cry when and it's disconnected from the very core of your being. So you're unable to have tears with being disconnected from who you really are. But it was something about the children of Israel. They cried unto the Lord. And he began to tell me to tell the house, if you cry unto him, he will deliver. And he began to show me through the scriptures, anytime they cried unto you, the cry was followed by a deliverance. So I began to say, God, why I see the tears, but where is the deliverance? He began to say, tell the house to cry unto me, and there will be a deliverance. We've got to step up, stop this imitation cry, but cry from the soul of you. Don't just let the tears fall, but cry unto the Lord. And what do I really mean about crying unto the Lord? You know how you be hurt, the boy that you really don't need in your life, and tears begin to fall, and you want to tell him how he hurt you, but if you're crying to the Lord and say, deliver me, I messed up, Lord, that's crying unto the Lord. You see where you have been slack concerning the things of God, that's crying unto the Lord, and that's what he wants to hear, a cry back in the house. I begin to look at this, and I said, Lord, I want you to release the mouths of your people. Our mouths have been locked down by the enemy. We have come into the house of the Lord, and it's like we won't even open up our mouth. And I said, God, release an atmosphere of praise unto you on this night. And God began to go on now, dealing with that cry. And he began to say, because after the cry, he raised up a deliverer. I come to let you know your deliverance is coming. Just look for it. Don't worry about the how. Just know it's coming. And here we have this lady, wonderful lady by the name of Deborah, that he began to raise up. Now you've got to understand now with Deborah, there were some qualifications that she had. The Bible begins to let us know that Deborah, she was a prophetess, she was a wife, and she was a judge. Sometimes women, you know, we feel overwhelmed because we are a wife, we are a mother, we have a job. But I come to let you know you can do it. It should have been some sisters in this house knowing that I don't always feel like going home and cooking. I don't always feel like being a wife. I don't always feel like taking care of these children. Then I got to come to church. Come on now, women. But I want to let you know it can be done. So here now, he raises up this woman, and I want to take my time here. He raises up this woman in a time now that men were at an all-time low. Commentators begin to say that she was raised up to show the sovereignty of God, that he can bless and raise up whoever he chooses. And some begin to say that he raised up this woman because it showed the chaos, the crisis that Israel was going through. If you take a look around right now, the women outnumber the men. Have you ever sit back and thought, where are the men? Why are there not plenteous in the house of the Lord? And I begin to look at this and begin to get hardened. I'm not hardened, but my heart was heavy because if you know now, we're at a time now that women of God, I'm single myself, and we are getting tired of having that pillow beside us. We are getting tired of not having muscles at home. We are getting tired of not having that security. We are getting tired of fixing our own flats. We are getting tired of mowing our own yard. And what it seems like waiting upon the Lord, what is that? I'm tired of waiting, being honest with the thing. And it's like, where are the men? And I want to encourage the sisters on here, wait on the Lord. Don't go with the fact. There are too many that are going out and they're getting husbands. They are taking down. And if we get back in position, we'll draw those men back in. Don't lay down too quick. Stay holy. Keep your standards up. And God will send him here I guarantee it. He began to say, encourage the women to wait on him. And the reason your strength is not being renewed is because you going after me is not considered waiting. What does waiting look like? God, I know you got one for me, but I'm going to keep myself here. I'm speaking from a single woman that God has been a keeper in my life, and it's been because how I waited. I'm constantly giving him a praise. You got to pray about this thing because I know how it feels to go home all by yourself, and then you got to be honest about it when you've already had a kid that you don't forget. Come on now, you don't forget, but I encourage you who you're standing by. Wait on the Lord. And I begin to look at this thing now. He raises Deborah up and he uses her in such a powerful way because at this time, women were not to have authority over men. Women were considered the weaker vessel. And that language right there has been taken out of context. We are only weaker in physicality, but not in intellect. We are only weaker that I can't go lift that motor, but I can get a prayer to God. We're only weaker on that level where we're not weak in any other thing. And the thing you got to look at, we birth babies. Remind them, can you do that there? But I don't want to feminize this thing too much because I want to bring the men in too. And so here we are. That is Deborah. And what she's doing, she is one of the 5 women that is noted to be a prophetess. And she is the only prophetess judge that you will see. And she is considered to be the most godly of them all. What a great honor to have. And God uses her in such a way, women, and I want you to pay attention to something. When she calls and she sends for Barak and she summons him, now that was something that was not out of the ordinary for her to do because she was the judge. And when she reminds him now of what God said, she did something that uses wisdom. She kept his manhood intact. She didn't go down to where he was because you know how we get when we know that we know that we know we'll get in front of his friend. Ninja, you supposed to did that last week and we'll embarrass him. I come to let you know, women, that men want to be nurtured too. There's a way you got to caress that man. There's a way you got to put him back in line, and fussing at him ain't gonna get it. This woman here knew how to keep his manhood intact. I believe when she summoned him, she began to say, she spoke with authority, and she reminded him of what God said. And I like what she did now. She did not just say, the Lord has told you. She reminded him, the God of Israel. And what she was doing now, she put God in his place so she can get him in his place. I come to let you know that we are in a time now that you got to understand Barak was a commander. We have been operating with a title for too long and not doing anything with it. We got to step up. You can't be a minister and you don't have a word in your mouth. You can't be an evangelist and you're not going on the evangelist field. You can't be an usher and you don't love people. It's time out to having titles and not doing nothing with it. And here it is now. She's talking to him and she's telling him what he needs to do. And she's reminding him, I come to let you people know that God has given you a word, but you did not move out on it. Today I come as your confirmation. You know how you get it. I'll move, Lord, if you send somebody. Here she is on tonight. Step up. Step up. That word which he's spoken into you. Step up. Get out of your comfort zone. The kingdom needs you on today. And sit down, take your time. I got to take my time. And then she began to talk to this man. And she began to tell him what thus said the Lord. And it was interesting. When I looked at the text, it would look like Barak is the only one that needs to step up. She needed to step up too. Even though she was doing the good will of God, she still needed to step up. For those of you that are sitting and say, well, I'm doing all right. There's more to be done in the kingdom. You have not made your arrival. I come to ask you, women, men of God, who are you pouring into? When you've gotten yourself together, you're supposed to pour into another. This thing ain't just for you to make it on to glory, but this thing is for you to pour into another, that'll pour into another, that'll pour into another. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned about my seed there. Who's going to pour into her? That's what we got to do. But we have come so oppressed. We have dealt with depression so that we can't think about nobody but ourselves. We have allowed our troubles to dominate. We have allowed our troubles to minimize who God is in our life. That we have become selfish because we are going through. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. And here we have it now. That Barak tells us something. He said, I won't go till you go. The reason being now, we know how we have that buddy system. I come to tell you what God has spoken to you. Don't be fearful. Don't discourage. Unbelief will cause you to act out of character, because this man was a commander. Why weren't you commanding? You should have been telling this woman where to go, but he was acting out of character because he didn't have faith. And you got to understand now, he wanted this woman to go with him because she had the word. He knew that God was with her, but it was something about this text now that I'm getting ready to make a point at. When he took her, in the text it talked about now that they went to a place, and that place was called Kadesh. You got to understand where Kadesh is. Kadesh was in the Hebrew, it means sanctuary. It means house of God. It means sacred place. So Kadesh was pretty much like where we at now. It's the church, and it's where you come together and you get your mind on God. And reason that Barak and Deborah went to Kadesh was, when he got there, I'm going to slow down and take my time. When he got there, what they did now, they called the children of Nebalah and Zaphtali to that place. And the reason that they called them there was because they didn't have to discuss now a military plan. They didn't come to discuss now how we going to win. They came together now to give God a praise. They came together now to pray Yahweh in his place. They came together now to be on one accord. They came together now to make sure their mind was geared up. Their spiritual warfare became their warfare. Their praise and worship became their warfare. That's how they began to do, because they stopped at Kadesh before they went up. You got to understand, your step up would not be in the natural until you go up in the spirit first. Don't let yourself come into the house of God and not get anything. And the Bible says now that Sisera, he did not worry about them being at Kadesh. He did not get worried until they went to Mount Tabor. And I began to look at that. The devil don't care about you coming to church. It's when you get something. The devil don't care about you coming to church. It's when your mind is open up on who God is. That's what he don't like. Your enemy does not care until you get out and you change position. When you go up, you will get their attention. When you go up, that's when they're going to talk about you. When you go up, that's when they want to see what's going on with them. I thought I had them down. How did they get out and under this? Because what's interesting is, why does Sisera be concerned about them? If you've been winning for 20 years, why would you be concerned about them now? It was because he knew that they had gotten elevated above him. Your enemy don't want you to outgrow him. That's when they get concerned about you. But I come to let you know that you are going your way up. Step up. Step up. It was something now about the text that I'm getting ready to leave here. I began to see a picture, and it began to depict, recapture what the children of Israel were doing. And the picture was so breathtaking. I want that second row to sit down now. The second row to sit down. The picture was so beautiful that what it did, that when you stood up, you could see out the land. You could see everything. And I come to encourage you, though you elevated and step up, your enemies you still may be able to see, but only for a moment. But don't get discouraged, because the enemies that you see, you should be at another level, and the image of them look different because I'm up here now. The image of my problem should diminish because now my view of God is bigger. I come to let you know God is greater. The devil is a lie. God is greater. The devil is a lie. God is greater. I need a commander to command on every row. Declare to your row, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Command to your row, weeping may endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. Command your role. God will always fight for us. Command your role. That God, the thoughts that he thinks toward you are thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you to an expected end. Command your role. That if you faint in adversity, your strength was small. Command your role. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Command your role. Though I feel overwhelmed, I will go to a rock that's higher than I. Command your role. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't throw in the towel. We in this thing together. Command your role. Oh my God. Jesus. Oh, bless his name. 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 Oh, I thank God for what he's doing in the body of Christ. Take this word and step up. And I'm getting ready to close now. There is something I just wanted to encourage you. People of God, don't get weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. Up is the only option. 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 My God, up is the only option. I refuse to be defeated in this season. I refuse to be depressed another day. I refuse to care about the things of this world when God got me. Oh my God, bless his name. You got to be reminded that we're serving an unchanging God in changing times. He is immutable. He don't lie and he don't change. He don't lie and he don't change. He's everywhere I want to be and can't be. He's omnipresent. Give those kids over to the Lord. He'll see about them. Give it over to the Lord. It's time now in your life. Let God be God. I come to let you know, don't leave here. I know we say a saying, the devil should have killed me when he had a chance. I come to let you know he never had an option in this. He doesn't have the power to kill you. He doesn't have a say-so in your well-being. The only thing he is good to do is that God allows him to buffet you every now and then just to turn you back to him. The light affliction that you're going through is just to turn you back to him. It's just to keep you aligned with our God. Oh, bless his name. Oh, have your way, God. I thank God for what he's doing. I don't know about you, but I can feel the move of God in this place. I can feel God pouring out in this place. The deliverance you've been wanting is here. The breakthrough you've been wanting is here. Oh, have your way, Lord. It is in the house. It is in the house. I wouldn't leave the same way I came. I would give it over to him. Oh, have your way, Lord. In my closing, people of God, you must realize something, that the enemy does not want your possessions, does not want your house, your car, your kids. He wants your position. He wants your position. He wants your position. He wants your position. If he can afflict you enough, you will lose your sight on God and you will begin to go down. He wants your position. My God, my God. Have your way, Lord. And as I take my seat, please be encouraged. This was a woman. Deborah was a powerful woman, that she was raised up by God. She was a judge. And you got to understand something in that day, that a judge did not do legal matters like what we think. They had to be equipped with military prowess. This was a woman that he raised up in such a time that is chaotic as in the one that we're living in, and that we need everybody on board now to be kingdom mindset. We need everybody on board now declaring holiness. We need everybody on board now saying the same language. We need everybody on board. If you look around, I'm not fighting against you and you're not fighting against me. We're fighting the same adversary. Don't let division come in amongst us. We're fighting the same adversary. Be encouraged, people of God. And this particular woman was such a powerful woman in her actions, in her ways. This is a woman that have paved the way, that have been a woman of faith, that have paved the way for us. Not too many times do they really talk about women of faith, women that are doing something. They're not revealing their bodies. They're not sliding down poles. They're not making rap songs laying over cars. We are godly women, and in that time, we've got to put our mark back there. We are the salt of the earth. We should be showing them how they should be doing it instead of them showing us how we should be doing it. This was this woman right here, and she has so many tasks and so much that she went on because of her actions, because of her step up. She got Barak back in line. He became the commander that he was supposed to be. Now you got to understand that his name is lightning. And before the text in, you see that lightning, he lived up to his name. But it was because she was in her right place as a woman. I come to encourage you all. There are some people that are married and maybe your husband is not saved yet. But I come to tell you, have a spirit of Abigail. Don't put your mouth on him. But if you could just cover him in his foolishness right now. I grew up in a time now that the old women would tell me, get some oil, and they'll say, put it on his side of the bed. I'm going to tell you, put it on the whole side of the bed. And if you're bold enough, I would dab some on me too, that way everything he indulged will be holy. I believe God that much. But we put our mouth on our situations too much instead of praying to or hearing God. I want to encourage you. We need some more Miriams back in the church that know how to get a praise on. We need them back. We need them back. We need some Phoebes. We need them back into the church. And I want to tell you, women of God, look around in your local ministry. There's a woman in there that's living it. There's some women in there that we overlook. We put our icons of somebody we'll never meet. Embrace who you see that's living it. Embrace who you see. Sometimes we just want a word of encouragement. Girl, you look good. You're doing good for the Lord. That's all it takes. Let us embrace one another. As we step up, we all step up together for kingdom work. It is time now to step up. I'm giving it back over to Jimmy.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's time to step up. Is there anybody in the house through that word? You look at your life and you say it's time to step up.